Guys, welcome back to the channel. We are here at Hyundai head office for the most exciting day of 2024. We've got the 5N finally. I'll do a quick walk around and then we'll skip to the actual proper walk around and in-depth review, or at least my version of it. So let's go. So here you guys go. This is everything. Picking up the car with 99%. It's done 9,697 Ks, 345 kilometers on range at 99%. So that's pretty much the inside and the front seats. Stay tuned for more. Alright, so we've set iPedal to max. We've been advised that it's all good in relation to the tyre pressure monitoring system. It'll go away in a moment. It's already been pumped up. So 300 something for a full charge. And we'd anticipate to get less than that. So this car definitely is stiffer. And by the way, any questions, you know where to put it. Alright, so this is normal mode, drive mode. This is in sport. Seats are obviously all manual adjusting, so they're comfortable for a sport seat, but for an everyday thing, I don't think many people who are non-car enthusiasts would like it. So just looking at these custom settings, Sport Plus for everything. And there's performance options. Man, there's so much configuration. I'll have to show you guys all of this shortly. Wow, what a world of difference. Whew. So I just took that corner obviously within legal limits, but man, this car, totally different car to the Model Y Performance. Alright guys, so you can see down over here on the camera, battery is optimized. We've got Racebox ready to go. We are also going to activate launch control. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. Everything here is set to maximum. I've also got this on sport mode as well. N-Grin boost mode, the lot. We're just gonna line up a bit better to be straight. Alright, N-Grin boost mode on. 3, 2, 1. Wow, that felt really quick. So 3.6 seconds. That's the first one. Wow. This thing just hauls. We're still on drag mode. I'll turn on N-Grin boost at the moment. Launch control is active, so let's just line it up. Alright, N-Grin boost mode on. 3, 2, 1. .74. So there you guys have it. 3.6 odd seconds. N-Grin boost mode on. Now obviously this is just on the highway with the usual temperatures. There's plenty of things to take into consideration. So yeah, this may obviously not reflect real world or ideal perfect world conditions, but there you have it. That is the 0 to 100 in the IONIQ 5N. Welcome to the IONIQ 5N. I have been waiting to review this one, or to drive this one, for a very long time. And thank you to the weather, we get to enjoy this in some pretty good sunshine. So there it is. Let's do a quick walk around and I'll take you guys through everything else. So NDA03J. So for the ones that do watch YouTube and follow Misha Sharaldin, this was actually one of the vehicles that they took on our test lap just before World Time Attack Challenge. So this car has about 478 kilowatts on overboost, or with boost mode, or N-Green boost mode. I think it was about 740 Newton meters of torque. So aircon's on at the moment, so you can see the grills have opened up for cooling. Let's walk around. So Pirelli P0 Corsa tyres, and they're 21 inch. So around the back we've got the usual tail lights in the pixel LEDs. They're currently off at the moment, but I'll turn them on in a sec. This is in the matte blue colour as well, so look at that. I'm so glad we've got some amazing weather. It looks amazing in person. Hopefully when it comes through on the video, it also looks just as amazing. In terms of the charge port, so it's back here on the right hand side, driver's side. Click that, that pops out. You've got there up to 350 kilowatts, super fast DC charging. That's the cover there. And then battery percentage there, push that to close. So I've turned the lights on, the fronts should be the same. And then let's have a look at the back. Yes, there we go, look at that, beautiful. So you guys may wonder what's different about this one and the normal ones. Well, look at the flared arches in the back. So it's totally different, it's totally ground up redesign. And yeah, it's a totally different beast of a car. We'll talk you through in a moment, but just wanted you guys to be able to appreciate it in the beautiful sunlight that we have this afternoon, just as I am appreciating this car. Alright, let's jump inside, let's take a look. Alright, so let's take a look at the inside. So starting with the seats as always. Beautiful bucket seats. So 2 bucket seats at the front, and then traditional seats at the back. We'll cover the back off in more detail in a moment. So anyways, there's the seats. We'll come down. So you've got N designation with like a checkered flag over here. Then in terms of buttons, foldable mirror over here. Your usual adjustments, windows, child safety locks and whatnot, grab handle right here. There's nothing else. You've got your Bose speaker right there with a little tweeter speaker right there. Down over here, got some nice pedals. Nothing much more, very minimalist inside over here for the time being. And then over here, this one here is of course the charge flap. You've got the hold for the boot, open close the boot, some traction control, handbrake, auto hold, and then adjusting the lighting. So that's essentially it, and yeah, I'll show you the rest of the dash once we get in a sec. Alright, so car at the moment supposedly has 309 Ks left to drive. This car is totally off at the moment, so let's start it up. So start button over here, foot on the brake. So that's essentially everything you see. So anyways, let's go through everything. So let's start with the steering wheel. So you've got drive modes over here, which essentially switch through Eco, normal and sport. You've got your NGB, which is N green boost, which gives you even more power for 10 seconds. Now obviously the condition's not met. I'm not even wearing a seatbelt, it's not in drive and so forth. But anyway, that's that. Got a lot of functions and displays over here. So I presume this is to do with phone calls and going up and down in terms of volume and switching tracks. This over here most likely is to do with cruise control. We'll have to test that over the next week. And this one here usually is to scroll through different messages. So over there in front of your screen to scroll through over here. Stats before charging, after charging, reset, power distribution, and oh, look at that, motor temperature for the front and the back. And then you've also got a lap time and a G-force meter. So there's that. And then there's two customizable N buttons. From what I could see so far, if I push this, I think it activates N mode. I think that's what it is. And then you'll also see, hopefully on the heads-up display, that has come on. And then if I push the other one, now these are all customizable, so I'll have to look at how it works specifically, but based on the settings now, if I push this one, you'll see that the heads-up display changes too. And you may hear that rumble. And this whole dash changes too. So this N button has been configured to turn on and off the sound. So you can see or hear that's totally silent. And if I step on the accelerator pedal, nothing happens. And you can see that I'm stepping on the accelerator pedal because of this here. So if I push this now, you'll hear it. And then accelerator pedal, if I step on it. So look at that. Fake sounds. Not sure if I like it or not, but there you go. So let's turn that off and let's have a look at the rest. So your usual menu all over here. You've got a wireless charging pad. I'll put the key here, but again it's wireless, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. You've got something here that you can put, possibly car keys like me. Shows you that it's wireless charging over there. You've got a USB-C power over here. You've got a 12-volt outlet over here. Two drink bottle holders. Let me turn the camera around here. You can close these if you want by pushing that and closing it for a bigger space to put things like a tissue box or takeaway food. Then over here, little glove box, as you can see, or storage box. Glove box, sorry, is over here. So it looks like you've got a whole dictionary in there. So it's quite deep, quite big storage in the glove box. But in the center console, not as big. It is very hard material. It's not soft material. And yeah. And then you've also got parking sensors and turning on the cameras, which is what you guys can see over here. So again, with the cameras, as usual, you can see that's the front. So I can turn my steering, you can see over here. So when you gotta brush your rims. You can also look at it at the back. You can also switch angles to just the wheels at the back as well. Or a wide angle. Or you've even got this virtual view over here as well. So that's all pretty cool. And then yeah, as I said, usual control panels there for the aircon, music and whatnot. And then over here, this is your usual mirror. So that's obviously to look back. And then there's the digital mirror as well. So let me line up the camera. There you go. 3, 2, 1. There's the digital camera. And again, you've got settings over here to make it brighter or not, and to change the camera position up or down. So that depends on obviously what you'd like to see. So that is pretty cool. And then obviously up here you've got some map lights. You've got an SOS button, and B, I think that's to set up Blue Link, the Hyundai's Blue Link. Usual map lights up here as well, with a separate switch, and it is LED. You don't have a sunroof in this one. They do have the N-Vision roof, which is the roof that you can turn on and off, or like put a blur over it to cover. This one doesn't have that, so this one is just full race spec, no additional glass here. So let's have a look at the second row. Alright, so for the second row, now this one is pretty cool. So these are manual seats. You can see they're pretty flat, and with these ones, you can pull this to recline this back and forth, and then down over here, it's a manual lever to adjust, so you can actually push and pull them back. So that's back as an example, and you can pull them really forward as well, all the way like that. So really customizable, which means that you can extend your boot space by a fair bit. So kudos to Hyundai for being able to implement that. I've got this here from the boot, just as I had to quickly take it out, but you can see it is a fully flat boot, fully flat area as you walk through, no transmission tunnel. And then the one thing that we all like is you've got your V2L socket over here and USB-C ports over here, and then aircon vents on the sides right there. So I'll step in quickly. So this is the view essentially from the inside, so starting top to bottom. There's a fair bit of room. I'm sitting up straight at the moment, and you can see obviously heaps of space between me and the front. And so that's essentially the side. So heaps of room, up, down, and then over here, 2 cup holders as well. And these seats can fold flat down. So that's the view that you get from the back. Also, forgot to mention sun blinds. Those are really important. Sun blinds, no heated seats in the back. You've got windows, you've got cooling, you've got sun blinds. That's it. Alright, let's take a look at the boot, shall we? Now I've got the boot full at the moment, but hopefully that gives you guys a perspective of how full it is, how much you can store. So there you guys have it. 2 kid seats in pretty much all the way. You can see I haven't reclined the back all the way through. You can push it up, but 2 kid seats side by side. So you still got a bit of storage over here on the side. You can obviously still put stuff over here, still put stuff over here. You can still fit a little bit over here, but that's pretty much all that you get in the boot. I'm going to put these kid seats in, and then I'll show you what it looks like empty. So this is the boot empty, and that's how much space you guys essentially have. And if we pull this, that's probably the entire boot. And since I've got the kid seats installed, I may as well show you guys how it looks like inside. So here it is. Now these kid seats are pushed all the way back in terms of distance from there. And so inside, that's all the space that you've got. Let's also have a look at the frunk, if there is one. I actually don't know. So over here, pull that once like a traditional car. There is a latch somewhere down here, and you've got nothing. So it is all electrics underneath. So if you guys were hoping for a frunk, I'm sorry, you guys can just go fast. That's it. So this is all the stiffest settings. We're on, I think it's Glenora Road, on the way to Wiseman's Ferry. And we're about to hit a stack of traffic on a Sunday morning. Can't believe we are coming to almost a full stop in a 90 zone because of a lot of cyclists. Alright, we're back. Cyclists pulled over. So this on the stiffest settings, you guys can hear, it's very, very bouncy. I do hope that sound actually comes through the microphone. But as with all EVs, no sensation of speed, you lose all of that. We're doing pretty much 90 k's an hour at the moment. Car's very confident. It's in max everything in N mode. And if we switch to the other N mode, it brings back that speed sensation with the noise. So we flip and we hit that N button. It sounds like a V8 in this noise. Power does cut off when you hit a certain speed, so it's the gears. It has digital gearing. It seems gimmicky. I'm sure it's useful on the tracks. Anyway, I'm going to turn that off. You can change the noise, but actually, let's do that. We need to switch to N Custom 1. We go home. And so this is ignition sound. This is evolution sound. And then let's go next one. So this is Supersonic. Supersonic sound. Let's go around this corner and see how that sounds. What do you guys think? I think I'm just going to turn the sound off. It does let you play with the gears based on the settings here. Now I don't know how to change all of that, but apparently you can configure it. So this is driving with pedals with the sound as well, but we'll leave it all off. Alright, so we're leaving motor on Sport Plus. We've just switched up steering to normal, suspension on normal, ELSD to normal, and we're just going to see how that performs. So far, immediate feel massive differences. Your steering is lighter, and the car is a bit more wobblier in the sense that it floats a bit more. And the going over little bumps, it doesn't actually hurt. There's no like thump. This is actually probably quite comfortable for an everyday ride. So I'll keep it in comfort mode on some of the settings, a bit of final left and right twisty turns as we get to the destination, and then we'll switch back to sport. But so far the car is holding up extremely well, and obviously this is a track car, but we're just on public roads. So, and if I had to compare with the Model Y performance, this walks all over it, in all seriousness. Like, I would have had body roll in the Model Y going through some of those corners for sure. It's not too bad. 1 hour driving, 23.9 kilowatt hours per 100 k's. Definitely thirsty, but I mean, look at how we drove a little bit. Alright, we're at Wiseman's Ferry, so here's the stats update. So, motor temp front 45, 52 for the rear, batteries at 26%. We've driven 53.5 Ks over an hour, with average consumption 22.5 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. I think that's pretty decent, considering we were stuck in traffic half the time and only got to stretch legs a little bit. But this is Wiseman's Ferry. And we're just in a random car park here, just so we can turn around, grab some food, and go for a drive back. Better turn off the speed limit notification first before we head back.
He starts recording it. He's like, oh.
Ding, ding, ding. No. Alright. Let's go. See you later, Wiseman's Ferry. So we are in N mode. Or maximum settings. First hairpin. Let's see how we go with this turning circle. Oh, it's pretty good. No rubbing. So we're in N mode, it's just the stiffest settings again. And man, this car feels good. Oddly enough, getting a bit of dropout from the wireless Android Auto, but other than that, it's good. Alright guys, go through a few more twisties and then we'll wrap this up. I'm going to switch over to Custom N, which is more the relaxed settings again, and we'll see how this goes. So far 13.5 Ks down, 15 minutes, 36.6 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks, which is very thirsty, but it is doing what the car needs to do. So this is very wavy, so through the bends, if you didn't have these bucket seats, I personally think you'll be thrown around the corner, because it is very wavy. So you could probably see my body going up and down, and that's just because the suspension's letting you go through a bit airy. I still think I prefer the stiffer settings. I think it's much better. And hopefully, if I can edit this properly, you guys can see the overlay of this nice drive heading back from Wiseman's Ferry. We We're going to change it up actually. So in custom mode, we've still got apparently 23 Ks. So we are going to go back into N mode. And in this custom mode, we're going to try find an in-between. So steering normal, we'll go steering sport, suspension sport, ELSD sport. So this is the halfway point. So let's see how good this is. So steering sport obviously feels exactly the same as before, obviously a bit looser. This is probably the nice point, which I guess is quite obvious. It is the in-between. It's not as wavy. You feel it straight away. It really doesn't feel like you're in a 2.5 ton car. Alright guys, we've worked out the issue. The reason why Android Auto keeps disconnecting is because I've also got it connected to Insta360 for the rear camera. So there's actually no problems at all. And I think we've worked out the settings in the middle is probably the best balance, midway. It's not extremely stiff, it's not extremely wavy, and it's still quite comfortable. So if that's something you guys are after, mid settings are the best. But just know if you want it racetrack spec, the stiffest settings is the most engaging for sure. 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, rains are here. lucky we've covered all our content already for this drive. So let's wrap up this video here and we'll jump back to the next part. Alright, forgot to say in terms of wrap up, so I think we ended up with, let me have a look, it was about 30 odd kilowatt hours per 100 Ks, and front motor was about 40 something, low 40s, 43, rear motor 52 degrees, battery temp was about 26 degrees. So spirited driving, all good. Hey guys, welcome back. Come with me for a drive as we test the cruise control in this IONIQ 5N, and we also wrap up the video. So it's been roughly a week since we've had this IONIQ 5N. We've done, I think, a good like 400 odd kilometers. We spent about 8 hours in the car, a lot of spirited driving, and yeah, so anyways, let's jump straight through to testing the cruise control just to see if it's any different compared to the standard IONIQ. Now just remember that for this one, so this is a 2024 model. In 2024 they also had a recent update where this now has the Hyundai Blue Link, and there was some other stuff that was updated as well. Alright, so let's test the cruise control on this 2024 IONIQ 5N. So keen to see if it's any different, I guess, really, between this spec and the base spec. So let's go. So on the steering wheel here, we've got cruise control buttons on the left side of the panel. So if I just get to the speed limit of 100 here on Sydney's M2 motorway, so that locked in at 98 Ks. We've got the lane keeping on. We've also got steering assist on as well. And we just go up and down with the speeds to match it to 100. This car here also has a heads-up display, so I can see everything up on the heads-up display as well. I'm not too sure if you can see it up on this camera over here, so time will tell when I edit the video. Hopefully you guys can though. But at this point in time, it's on car distance 2. You can switch it all the way down to car distance 1, and it basically keeps it between 1 and 4. So you can go 1 car distance or 1 car gap all the way up to 4 car gap. So car is doing roughly 99 kilometers an hour now. We haven't hit 100 yet. Now we've just hit 100, and so that's the gap that you guys can see in front of me. Now, how is it doing? Is it very jittery? Is the steering wheel jerky? No, not at all. It's actually quite smooth. I haven't received or seen any notifications yet telling me to, I guess, turn the steering wheel or keep my hands on the wheels. But I'll keep the camera facing the front so you guys can see the speed as it kind of adjusts. So we're doing only 85 kilometers at the moment. So if this car heads out, the car should speed up. Yep, so I can feel it accelerate quite fast actually, all the way 96 kilometers at the moment, 97. So once you're doing, I guess, a bit of the slower speeds, it does accelerate a bit faster towards the actual speed limit that you've indicated, assuming you're well within your speed limit settings. So it's doing about 95 at the moment with the gap in front of me. So I feel like this is quite different to some of the other cars I've driven recently, because it's not as jerky. So they must have refined something in the software. I don't feel the little twitches in the steering wheel as we're kind of driving. So it just feels like normal, like you're driving a normal car. Whereas in some of the other cars I've driven recently, and I forgot which one specifically it is, when you're driving, you kind of do feel the steering wheel twitch left and right a little bit. And I guess that's probably to ensure that as a user you're holding the steering wheel, and that's the feedback that you use to tell the software to say that, you know, we're on track. So anyways, that's essentially the cruise control. I don't think there's too much more. You've got all your safety features and whatnot, and yeah. So by this time you would have seen at the start of the video, we would have gone for a drive already, a more spirited drive. We didn't get to take this car on the track, unfortunately. We have taken the Model Y Performance on the track, so that video, guys, is coming soon. And I can give you, I guess, some feedback in terms of comparison to this car. but for the most part, you've seen the drive, you've seen the walk around, you've seen the space that this car has to offer. So let's kind of sum it all up. So as a daily, how comfortable is it? I think from a comfort side, I absolutely love the seats. Like you guys know, I love sports cars. I love bucket seats, and I also don't like the Model Y performance seats. I will openly say that. That's perfectly fine. So having said that, these seats are so comfortable. Whilst you can't adjust the bolsters, because in some of the other cars in the top specs you can adjust the bolsters, this is actually really comfortable. It doesn't hug you too much, it doesn't hug you too little, so it contours around your body. And then you've got these wings that stick out over here. Hopefully you can see that. That's just enough support for my shoulders. So Hyundai, you guys have nailed it in terms of the support on these seats. I originally thought that these seats, because of the comparing this to the EV6 GT, I thought that these seats only had heated functions until I actually hit the temp seats control over here, or the climate button. Either one of those two buttons will get you to the menu. You can see over here, and I don't know if you can see it from this camera, but I'll put an overlay if I can't. You've actually got cooling seats, you've got heated seats, you've got heated steering wheel. So those creature comforts are actually there, and it will keep you quite comfortable. And it's good to know that we just tested that that safety assist to stop the car if I was to proceed any further. Anyways, where was I? So seat comfort. Absolutely amazing. In terms of the ergonomics for the car, reachability, everything, look, I think is perfectly fine. I can pretty much touch the entire screen without leaning forward. Rear visibility is also really good because of the shape of the car, and you've got a decent size windscreen or rear windscreen as well. The mirrors are big, so I like that. The bit that I don't like as a part of that is there is no memory seating. So there's two issues when it comes to memory seatings. Number one is there is no mirror dip in reverse. And guys, if I've got this totally wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments below, but I couldn't find the settings where you could have the mirror dip. The downside of that, of the mirror dip, well, some people say it's not necessary. I personally obviously don't like to gutter rash my rims, and I like to make sure I park well within the lines in any parking spots. So as I said, mirror dip is not the end of the world, but it was just nice to have. I've got it in my other cars, so it's just something that I've gotten used to. So that's just something to take into consideration. You don't have mirror dip on reverse if that's something you like. And then with the memory seating, because these are bucket seats, these are manually adjustable. So, you know, you're paying a lot of money for this car, and whilst you're paying a lot of money, you would, I guess, to a certain extent, you'd want electronic seats. I like to sit fairly forward so that it feels more, I guess, like a race car, and I feel more connected to the car. So actually when I get out of the car, I actually do hit this side bolster for the seats. So it's just something to bear in mind. It's not the end of the world. Would I still own this over the Model Y in terms of the actual seats and lose the electric adjustment capability? If it wasn't for the dip on reverse, you know, I'd probably consider it. I really would. I'd probably lean towards actually even giving that up, thinking about it more. So yeah, that's essentially the seats. So main thing is no electronic adjustments for the seats. You do have cooling, you do have heating, you've got heated steering wheels. Visibility around the entire car is absolutely fantastic. And what else? Let's talk about storage. So storage wise, so this car has so much space inside the second row, which I would have covered off in the IONIQ 5 original review, that it just feels like first class seating, in all seriousness, in the second row. It definitely feels, and it's probably due to the shape of the car, right? Because the shape doesn't kind of curve down like the Model Y does. Either way, you've got heated space in the second row. I feel like we've definitely got enough space in the first row. So inside seating space is perfect. In terms of car storage space, look, if you had to compare it to the Model Y, it definitely loses out. But in general, I would treat this more like just a normal ICE car. If you were to jump into this car and you're trying to work out how much space you guys would have. The reason being is because there's no frunk space at all. No frunk usage. It's all electrics there. So really you've just got the boot and all the space inside the car that you need. There is a little bit of under tray storage in the boot, but other than that, that is all. So that covers it from a storage side of things. Let's talk size. So size, you guys know this is the Model Y competitor. I've covered that off in the IONIQ 5 video if you guys haven't seen that already. Generally speaking, it is a big car. So let's talk size of the car. So I originally thought that this car was probably the size of like a Toyota Corolla, if not something a little bigger, and that's similar to the car in front. But no, this is a Model Y competitor. I've mentioned in a bit more detail in the IONIQ 5 original video. But the long story short is, this is a bigger mid-size SUV, and you guys just need to be mindful of the size. It's not hard or it's not difficult car to drive around. The car has fantastic cameras, so you guys don't need to worry about that. You just have to factor in, if it's a 5N you're buying, you don't have the dip on reverse. Besides that, the cameras are amazing, really high quality, and you should be able to navigate tight spots quite easily. And yeah, there's not much more to say in terms of that. You have 360-degree camera, so you can change the cameras as you go, and you can see whatever it is you need to see. And for the ones interested in road noise, so I'm driving in just normal mode, not N mode or anything, and totally quiet. This is literally a race car for the roads. You can change the functions and all of that so that it's, I guess, noisier and a rougher ride and everything, but yeah, like a normal EV. It's amazing how they can context switch from a race car to just a normal traditional EV that's just totally quiet. So kudos to Hyundai for that. Now let's talk suspension. As a normal car, this is great. You've got so many settings you can customize as a user, that you can do it from a comfy floaty type of vehicle to a totally harsh BMW M-Spec rough solid ride where you feel every single bump on the road and you literally like this. And I put an overlay of a 360-degree camera of when we had the stiffer settings on N mode when we were going out for a little spirited drive. You can see how bumpy the suspension can get. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'll put an overlay on and you guys can see and understand how stiff the car can actually get. But otherwise, suspension is all configurable. You can go soft, medium, hard, pretty much. It's not in those words, but that's basically the type of settings you can do. You can also switch steering settings as well, or steering stiffness, so you can adjust all of that. So that's all fantastic. And you've got a whole myriad of other settings that you can do as well that I would have covered off in just that dash whole N setup piece earlier in the video. Alright, and let's talk range. As an everyday EV, this car supposedly has 84 kilowatt hours. My genuine view is I don't think that the range is amazing on this car. And maybe that's because of how I've been driving, but this car, in terms of the consumption, I feel like this matches a bigger SUV. So I'll give you guys some context. So, and I won't talk about I'll talk about performance side in a moment, but in normal driving, so I've driven probably about 15 odd minutes in suburban Sydney, like in the suburbs, then onto the highway, and then I've been driving on the highway. We're averaging now, so we've done 30 odd kilometers, we're averaging now 20.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It was around 21, 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so obviously that's a bit thirstier. My Model Y on average is about 18, so that kind of gives you guys the context to how thirsty this car is. And when we were driving in spiritedly, way more, high 20s, low 30s. But even then, if we're talking about just general driving around, you're buying this car to have a bit of fun. And again, the opinion that I'm about to give you, or the feedback that I'm going to give you, is my specific 1 week review where I've driven it predominantly on N mode. So with N mode, so remember, if I overlay the picture, and I think off the top of my head, when I picked it up at 99%, it was about 345 kilometers. I've had to charge it during the week because I think, including the spirited drive, we didn't empty empty the battery, but it would have been probably about 280 kilometers. So including driving around, I feel like that was, I guess, on the lower side. However, as I said, you know, this is different, so I can't necessarily compare it directly to the Model Y because I haven't gone on Spirited Drive to the Model Y, but just know that at 99%, before I even drove it, it said 345. So, and this is an 84 kilowatt hour battery. This is a 2024 model. So having said that, in my head, it just seems like the range is not there. But range-wise, at 99%, based on when I picked up the car, said 345 kilometers. And in my view, I don't feel like that's enough for a 84 kilowatt hour car as a daily. So that's it. And I think that probably covers it from, I guess, the normal side. So let's talk the performance side. So on the performance side, I generally can't compare this to the Model Y. As in, I can't say the Model Y from a performance aspect is up there with this car. You know, simply put, this car walks all over the Model Y from a performance standpoint. Yeah, I was blown away by words because when I had to exit onto a highway, which was 100 kilometers an hour, and I just planted my foot down. Now, I didn't plant it all the way, and this wasn't even in N mode because I hadn't even looked at that. This was just on pickup. This car just held. Now, the Golf R that we recently sold had a rear sway bar, and I would say that, and I used to always drive that car on sport mode. I felt like this car, driving as it was so planted that it literally felt the same. And as I mentioned earlier on, and I've mentioned in the driving part of the video, there's so many settings you could change on this car. You can make it soft, you can make it hard, you can change steering settings, LSD, you can change all of those things. And all of that just means that you either dial up the engagement with the vehicle or you dial it down to more of a toned down everyday vehicle. So on that aspect, I think, yeah, we can't compare. I don't think, I really do generally think this is probably the best EV performance car that I've driven. So anyways, in terms of comparisons with the Model Y, yeah, I think this car walks all over the Model Y in terms of performance. Yes, it's a car that costed more to begin with, even if I go back to when I purchased my Model Y Performance. So we bought it for $108,000. Back then, upon launch, this was $121,000. So, you know, there was obviously a bit more there, so you'd expect the car to be better. But with all the customizable settings in this for everyday driving, I think this takes the win for sure. With the seating, with all of that, I think it's amazing. One thing that I guess people may think is gimmicky, and maybe it is for everyday driving, is the noise for the car itself, as in all of the fake engine noises. Like you can switch between like Supersonic, Evolution, and Ignition, which replicates a car. Yes, that may sound gimmicky for everyday driving because you know that it's coming out of a speaker. But I think realistically on the racetrack, it's actually going to be quite good because, and I'll cover this off in the Model Y track video when I do have time to finish editing that. But the one thing that is difficult in a normal EV is because there are no gears, you kind of lose your sense of, or sensation of how quick you're going through a corner. So traditionally, you know, if you go to, say, for an ICE car, you know you can take a certain corner in gear 2 at, say, 5,000 RPM. And you know you'll be able to fly through that corner at that maximum speed through there, no issues. And you'll get used to, I guess, the engine noise as well, or exhaust noise. Not having that in an EV does make it a little bit more difficult. And you also sometimes want to maintain that speed going through at certain RPM to make sure that you can continue going, you can change gears as soon as you're out of the corner and whatnot. All of that stays the same with this car. Now, I haven't taken this car to the track, so, you know, I'm only speculating. But I think with all of those things, I think it's amazing. And the other bit from a performance side that I really like, now this is probably just more for, I guess, the stats nerds, for better use of words. So many stats on this car that you guys can see. Motor temp, front, rear, battery temp. You know, you've got the G-force meter that you can see. You can also scroll through. You can also see how much power is going through all the wheels, how much torque in terms of Newton meters it's going through. You've got lap timer. You've got all of those all ready to go from here. So I think that's all amazing. And the best thing of all, even though this is 2.5 ton car, from performance side of things, when you are driving fast or when you're doing more of a spirited drive and you've turned on N mode and you've got it in, say, the max settings, it genuinely doesn't feel like a heavy car. Like, it's amazing how this car can move. It's been such a pleasure driving this car. And yeah, there's been so many settings that you can configure in this car. And I also like the fact that you can change between drive modes. You can change how the dash displays, which also changes how the heads-up display looks as well. So, you know, all of these modes, so especially having like the speedo right here in the middle along with the speed, I think that's all really helpful, especially if you are, say, going on track. So I personally like this view anyway. It looks much nicer than the traditional view, but you can switch all of that up and down and everything. And then, yeah, otherwise, from a track side of things, look, this car has 21-inch wheels like the Model Y Performance. There's no issues there. As I said, you can change all the settings to make it soft and hard and whatnot, so you guys won't have any issues there at all. Let's talk price. This car at the moment, so there was a price increase actually. In New South Wales, drive away private price, this car is about, I think it was $124,000 in this Performance Blue matte spec. It's $126,000. So just the normal base one is 124 something, and in that one it's 126 something. There is only one option you guys can have as a part of this car, and that is to get the Envision roof, which I think is like a glass roof that you can control either how bright or to block out the light. And so that brings the car to, I think, about $130,000. The one thing to also remember is, now with the other Ioniqs, I do believe you get the V2L adapter. With this one, the V2L adapter is additional. I think it was $595. Now, I'm not being paid by Hyundai at all, but guys, if you want to get one, there is a pretty good promotion at the moment where you get a stack of extra benefits, including 4 years of servicing. Now, supposedly this car only needs servicing every 2 years, but that's kind of, I guess, an added bonus. You also do, I think, get either a charger or EV charging credits or the likes. I forgot how much specific in terms of dollar value, but as I said, I'll put an overlay of the bonuses that you get. It does look like it's quite a good offer, considering there's that much savings. But the other thing as well, the flip side is there are also dealers that are cut pricing this car. So make sure you guys look out for a deal, because I'm all about saving money, so you could use money elsewhere. So yeah, if it's something you guys are interested in, make sure you hit up the dealers and see if you can knock out a deal. So take a look at that. But either way, $124,000 is roughly what we're looking at for the base spec IONIQ 5N. All right. So guys, I'm going to wrap up the video giving you 3 things I love and 3 things I don't love about this car. Now, when I say 3 things I don't love, I'm going to tell you guys up front, would I buy this car? Yes. Okay, so that's the short version. I would definitely buy this car. 3 things I love. Okay, so I love and it's a double-edged sword, okay, but I love the fact that you could customize this car to make it race spec, stiff, solid, and harsh, and then you could just drop it all into the most comfortable settings that one could ask for, that the car just floats around and actually feels like a normal car where speed bumps don't hurt. And for you pure car enthusiasts that have had cars with solid stiff springs, you guys will know exactly what I mean. That's the first thing that I like. The second thing I like, and I guess this applies to a lot of the Kia and Hyundai EVs actually, I love the fact that you've got the BlueLink app these days in all of it, because that means that you've got so many functions that you could utilize as an EV, and it's all well and amazing. And the third thing, I love the shape of this car. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and because of the actual shape of the car, it also means that especially in the second row, you guys have so much space in there that you would really be comfortable. So those are the 3 things. All right, so now let's talk about the 3 things I'm not too fond of. Now, just remember, these aren't deal breakers, just purely my opinion. I wish there was a front storage. I wish there was electrically adjusted seats. And I also wish that we could mirror dip on reverse. 3 things. This car is amazing. Other than that, price point, look, it's realistically stacks up to what it is, right? That's the honest truth. Like, it's an amazing car. So yeah, those are the 3 things. And other than that, let's wrap it up. So Hyundai, thank you so much for the opportunity over the past week. I absolutely enjoyed every minute of this. I can definitely put my hand on my heart and tell you guys that for 2024, this was the one car that I was most looking forward to reviewing. And I did not know at the start of the year if that would even be a possibility. So thank you again, Hyundai. You've made my day. You've made my year in terms of driving EVs. As always, guys, if you have stayed for the entire thing, I appreciate you guys. You guys have been amazing from a support side of things. So thank you for continuing to watch my videos. Hope you guys are well. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you guys soon.